Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Riley McManus. There's ongoing concern that Indigenous people are being massively undercounted in Thunder Bay census data. While the latest census shows an 11% increase in the number of Indigenous people in the city, it's still dramatically less than the estimates laid out in a 2019 study. Lee Noonan explains.
The 2021 census shows just over 15,000 Indigenous people of all ages living in the city. That's 1,565 more people than in 2016. But the researchers behind the 2019 Our Health Counts Thunder Bay project estimate the adult population at between 23 and 42,000. That could mean the Indigenous population is as much as 3 times bigger than the stats show. Dr. Janet Smiley, the study's principal investigator, says Indigenous people are vastly less likely to complete the census.
About 70% of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people living in the city of Thunder Bay do not participate in the Canadian census. And actually, it should be the reverse.
Smiley says her team has now shown high underparticipation of Indigenous people in the census in 5 different Ontario cities. She says there's a wide range of reasons Indigenous people don't complete the census, including a lack of access to housing or internet.
You know, we have this history as we move towards September 30th. There's very good reasons, longstanding reasons, then why Indigenous people might not trust government authorities who are trying to ask them all kinds of questions about themselves and their families.
Smiley says undercounting leads to the chronic underfunding of services for Indigenous people, including the health services at Anishinaabe-Mushkiki, the study's local partner.
You're under-resourced in primary care, everybody ends up in emerge, right? And then that hurts everybody because the emerge is full and overloaded. So Indigenous and non-Indigenous people are going there, and Indigenous people are going there iller than they would be because they don't have a regular primary care provider. There's not the investment in the kind of upstream programming that our communities want.
Smiley says the city should take advantage of the study results, saying other cities where the study was conducted have been able to use the numbers to get increased funding.
Well, I hope that they would accept this strong science and actually more than accept, maybe celebrate it.
With an election coming up, Smiley encourages the new council to use the study data as leverage to help resource any new reconciliation efforts. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Thunder Bay City Archives unveiled a new Indigenous recognition wall at its headquarters this morning. The wall honors the history of First Nations people and the city of Thunder Bay. The mural features 3 translucent panels that depict the Robinson-Superior Treaty of 1850, a land recognition statement, and the city's 2010 Declaration of Rights of Aboriginal Peoples. The panels are mounted against a background archival image of Anemkiwaju, also known as Mount McKay. Officials aim to make the archives a more welcoming place for everyone. Retired archivist Matt Zabalski started this project before he retired back in June, and he says it's near and dear to his heart.
I learned a lot of history about Canada, but as far as the Indigenous people of Canada went, it ended with Louis Riel, and it was like nothing happened in between. And so when I came here and got to know the people in the Aboriginal Liaison Office and the Indigenous Relations Office, I learned probably more from them than I learned from any history professor.
The Indigenous Recognition Wall can be seen at the Thunder Bay City Archives headquarters on Vicker Street North. We continue our coverage of Thunder Bay's mayoral candidates. Tonight we spotlight local business owner Gary Mack, who's making his first run for office. While Mack is new to politics, he believes his past work experience has prepared him to tackle the big issues on the minds of voters. Vasilios Bellos reports.
Mayoral hopeful Gary Mack is making his first run at politics, though he's already a well-known figure in the community. For the past 4 years, Mack has owned Bay Village Coffee, winning multiple awards for entrepreneurship. Prior to owning his business, he was a social worker for 25 years, involved with homelessness and mental health, spending 2 of those as the executive director of Shelter House. Mack says he decided to run for mayor because he feels his experience can make a meaningful impact on Thunder Bay.
I feel like our city has been neglected. It seems to me that nobody has really been driving this ship, and we need a mayor that has a vision for Thunder Bay and the drive to see that vision through. That's what really inspired me to run. I felt like somebody needed to step up, and I especially was focused on the social issues that our city is facing, that the police, the Chamber of Commerce, it seems that everyone agrees that we really have to deal with our social issues if Thunder Bay is going to move forward.
And he believes there's one social issue in particular that's on the mind of voters this time around.
For me, and I'm hearing this at the door a lot too, is homelessness. We really need to do something about homelessness. We have tent cities now, we have encampments, and I'm really afraid that those are going to become entrenched in Thunder Bay. And so we really need to act quickly, we need to house our most vulnerable people, and it's going to have a huge impact in terms of cost savings for emergency services, and also for just making our city a safer, better place to live.
With 4 others on the ballot for mayor this election, why does Gary Mack believe he deserves your vote?
I think people should vote for me because I have the experience necessary to deal with the issues that we are facing right now as a community. I have 25 years of social work experience, plus I have 4 years running a successful business. So, I sort of have a balance of both things that we need right now.
Vasilios Bellows, TBT News.
And we'll continue our mayoral candidate profiles tomorrow when we focus on Peng Yu, who served as an at-large councillor for the past 4 years. The Lakehead District School Board's new Director of Education says she's happy to know that the former Edgewater Park School building is getting a new lease on life with another board. Last week, we learned that the school board has been sold to the Grand Nord School Board based out of Sudbury. It's set to open as Thunder Bay's first public Francophone elementary school next September. The city already has 2 Catholic French schools operated by the Aurora Borealis School Board. Lakehead's Director of Education, Sherry Lynn Farron, won't disclose how much the school was sold for, but she says the sale is a win-win.
Maintaining the heating and lighting and the repair, keeping the building in good repair is an expense that is, heavy on a school board if there aren't any students in that building. So if someone else is able to use that building and to give it a new life, I think that that's a value added for the community as a whole.
Officials with the Grand Nord School Board have scheduled a news conference at Edgewater on October 4th to detail their plans for the newly acquired facility. With runway construction at the Thunder Bay Airport set to wrap up at the end of October, Flair Airlines has confirmed that it will resume flight service to and from Toronto once the work is finished. Officials with the low-fare airline noted today that its flights will return to Thunder Bay on November 1st, as planned, and bookings for the month of November and beyond can be made on Flair's website.
We are planning to serve Thunder Bay from Toronto in the winter twice a week, and then we'll be ramping that up to 4 times a week for the summer schedule. So we kind of had that coincide with our expectations for when the runway construction would end because we were eager to get back to the Thunder Bay market.
Flair suspended its Thunder Bay flights at the end of April before the airport runway improvements began. Its Boeing 737 aircraft are too big to land on the airport's secondary runway, which has been used exclusively while the longer primary runway is under construction. The wait for theater goers is almost over. Magnus Theatre's 51st season is set to get underway tomorrow evening. The gripping tale of the runner will take the stage, and as Kurt Black tells us, it promises to keep visitors on the edge of their seat from the opening scene.
Airborne, it gets inside of me. I feel it. I can feel it.
After comedies dominated the stage at Magnus Theatre last season, The Runner by Christopher Morris is set to grab the emotions of Thunder Bay theater goers when the powerful thriller opens the season on September 29th. The gripping tale follows Jacob, whose world is forever changed while volunteering for a Jewish organization known as Zaka, a volunteer force that is tasked with collecting the bodies of those lives lost during terrorist attacks in Israel. And while the story may be foreign to many who attend, Magnus Theatre artistic director Tom Curry believes it's a story that the whole community can get behind.
Chose this to open the season because it is such a great story. It's a very real story, and it is it's about the choices that we have to make as human beings, right? Even though we may never face the challenges that he's facing, what would we do in that situation? I think that's what great theater is about.
But we're finally in the Holy Land, with our own government, running our own lives. But is this better?
The play's visionary, Christopher Morris, who also stars as the lone protagonist, Jacob, first discovered the inspirational tale of Zaka back in high school and has spent the past several years traveling back and forth to Israel in order to make his dream a reality.
And it just always stuck with me, and over the years, it never left. It haunted me, possibly. And then as I more and more started choosing theater for my career, I kept thinking this would be an amazing topic or source and inspiration for a piece of theater.
For the play's director, Daniel Brooks, he recommends all those who plan to attend to expect to be on the edge of their seats from the opening scene right to the last.
And it's very intense from beginning to end. It's a very intricately built story, and there's lots of lights and one actor. And I think it's a pretty exciting show.
Though a much more intense theme from what was seen at the Magnus last season, all those involved believe the runner will relate to all those who attend when the production opens the 51st season here at the Magnus on September 29th. Kurt Black, TBT News.
Santa Claus's early stop in the city is back on his holiday itinerary. Thunder Bay's local Rotary Club have announced the return of their annual Rotary Santa Claus Parade. It's been 3 years since the last parade, and organizers are thrilled to have it back for its 30th year. It's typically one of the first signs of the holiday season and sees thousands of people line the parade route to catch a glimpse of the unique floats and, of course, St. Nick. That route is unchanged this year. The floats will begin at the Real Canadian Superstore, travel north on Memorial Avenue before turning off to end at the auditorium. There's no theme this year, so participants are free to get creative with their float. Co-chair Dawn Sebesta says the parade is an important holiday tradition.
And the kids do look forward to it. After the parade's over, we set up in the auditorium lobby, and Santa Claus is there. Mr. Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus are there. The kids can go visit with them. I think that's exciting for the kids. You know, their first kind of for seeing Santa Claus for the Christmas season. So, and I think the families, they like taking their kids out to something like this. It really is a feel-good moment.
The parade will take place on Saturday, November 19th, starting at 10 a.m. The Rotary Club hopes to make it the biggest one yet. Anyone who wants to participate in the parade can find details at fwrotary.ca. Well, Fiona, I know it's not Christmas season yet, but last night Mother Nature gave us a little glimpse of that weather.
Yes, if you didn't wrap up any plants you were hoping to protect, you might have been a little bit sorry this morning. Temperatures definitely dipped below the freezing mark, a low of -3. The good news is with all the sunshine that we had and a nice southwesterly flow, we've had warmer air. It's a slow warm-up, a slow process, but we are definitely heading back in the right direction towards more seasonal daytime highs. To the west, lots of sunshine, and they are already back in the mid-teens. Fort Frances topping out at 16 Celsius at this hour. 14 for Atikokan and Dryden, 15 for Kenora, 16 in Red Lake. Under partly sunny skies, those temperatures continue eastward into Armstrong, and then they take a bit of a dip for areas to the north and east of Thunder Bay. It's remaining a bit cooler, just 11 for Greenstone at this hour under sunny skies, and that is pretty much the high for the day. Marathon currently sitting at 8, and Sault Ste. Marie, I think they topped out at 10. They're currently at 9 under mostly cloudy skies. Now here in the city of Thunder Bay, we are going to see a low of just 2 Celsius, but on a positive note, it's above the freezing mark, but it is going to be a cool night under partly cloudy skies. And then as we head into the last couple of days of the work week, for some of you, might be your last day of the work week. I'm talking about Thursday and Friday. We have more sunshine on the way. We also are going to be returning to seasonal highs in the city of Thunder Bay. That means daytime highs in the mid-teens. Unfortunately, It's not going to last very long because by the weekend we could be slipping back down into some pretty cool levels. I'll have more details later on in the News Hour.
Well, thank you so much, Fiona. Well, the powerful Hurricane Ian has made landfall, hitting Florida's western coast. We'll have all those details for you as your News Hour continues.
This is a very powerful major hurricane that's going to have major impacts, both on impact in Southwest Florida, but then as it continues to work through the state,